And a very good afternoon to you. And now, the Queen in a storm and an up and down day. We're saying hello to Mrs. Kastner. It was more than 10 years ago, and I remember it well. I was having a coffee with Mrs. Kastner in Vienna when she told me the following story, and it was all about the Queen and a storm. It was the 60s of last century. Queen Elizabeth II was on a state visit to Austria and was having a wonderful time. But then sadly came the end of her visit, and Queen Elizabeth II was waiting for her plane to go home. But then came the storm, and it was fierce. In fact, so fierce that the Queen's special plane was unable to land. And so there was the Queen, stuck fast at the airport. But she wasn't alone. There was the Austrian President, the Prime Minister, the British Ambassador, and the Mayor of Vienna, and all having to think of something to say. Small talk with the Queen, and in English it was a stress. But fortunately there wasn't too long to wait. The Queen's plane was soon able to land, and a feeling of relief came over the meeting. Soon the Queen would be on her way home. But that wasn't the end of the story. There were the soldiers. And the soldiers were wet, cold, miserable and hungry. They had been outside the whole time in the storm, waiting to give the final salute. And then, when the Queen finally came out to go to her plane, the general in charge ordered his men to salute. But that was easier said than done. The wind was still very strong, and not all the soldiers were able to hear his command. And so it was that only the soldiers nearest the general actually saluted. And then came the ups and the downs. Seeing that the soldiers at the beginning of the line had saluted, the ones further down the line saluted as well, and then the ones at the beginning saluted again to catch up, and then the ones down the line did it again. And this went on for at least 3 or 4 minutes, an up and down show. And then, holding her hat, the Queen boarded her plane. And I wonder if Her Majesty the Queen ever thinks back to that up and down day in Vienna, the day her hat nearly blew off in a storm. And Mrs. Kastner, she certainly never forgot that stormy afternoon. She was watching it live on TV. Her son was one of the soldiers in that great Guard of Honor, and Mrs. Kastner was proud. There was her son saluting the Queen, not only once, but 4 or 5 times in a row. Hold on to your hat, it might blow away.